Right, so welcome back to Morning Live. And as I told you earlier, we want to dwell on matters, useless courses that are going on in this country. Now, Mr. Peter Kodhek Amunga is in studio and he'll be telling us through now what really is going on. Because, of course, fake list going around about the courses. So we still want to know why are some other educational institutions pushing on some courses that indeed you, after 4 years, you go out there and there's nothing for you to do. Karibu sana Bwana Kodhek. Good to see you today.
Yes,
now, of course, it's from the NAT Communications team and he's also an education expert. And we saw about all these issues going around about the courses. Where I'm seated, I believe, yes, there's some courses which I think needs to be scrapped. But from where you sit, from your experience, what's your opinion?
Yes, actually, there are courses that are being scrapped, very many. KUA, that is the University Regulations Body, has actually come up with a list of courses that must go.
Okay.
And there are many. Many of them is not just because of the fact that they don't have, a future. They are not marketable in Kenya.
Okay.
But some of those courses, because the universities that claim to offer them don't have all the requirements
capacity,
and the capacity to to offer the courses. So we are having universities in their marketing talk about big things that we are going to offer this, we can provide this kind of course, we can do this for you. But when you go there, you discover there are no lecturers, there are no facilities, there are no labs. So at the end of the day, the course is not is not even supposed to be there. And I think that's why they are being scrapped off.
When you look at basic degree, the quest to have a basic degree, a basic diploma, because things changed after some time that you don't really have to practice what you learned in school. And that has been the norm since now. I think there's some change of notion about the course you're doing, maybe except medicine. Even some lawyers are even doing other things. It's just very, very complicated. Now, the quest to have a basic degree as a requirement for so many jobs out here, do you think it was the main reason why some people are going for these courses?
Yeah, there's something called knowledge for knowledge's sake. Just getting to get knowledge and just to have it with you. Most of the people who have been going out, or the universities, or the students who go to these universities, they go there for knowledge's sake, to learn something, to get something. The fact that you have a degree, the paper called a degree, is a very important thing. Means you've gone through some courses, you've gone through some training, you've gone through some learning. Somebody has taught you, a professor, a university professor has taught you. That is a good thing. The question that rises is, then what after that kind of education or after that kind of training? That's why we talk about knowledge for knowledge's sake. Some people, those days of people like Aristotle, Plato, they questioned this. What is knowledge for? What is education all about for? And some of them came up with the fact that just knowing that things happen or things do work like this is so important. Now, in Kenya, in our setup as Kenyans, knowledge is not just knowledge for knowledge's sake. Knowledge has to have some direction. Knowledge has to be channeled. Knowledge has to be nurtured, has to be tapped, has to be directed into some particular direction. And that is why many people now take courses with what you have in mind, what you want to do in life with that kind of course. But it is not a must that if you train as a teacher, you must end up a teacher. Or if you train as a doctor, you must end up a doctor. We have so many people who are lawyers nowadays who are politicians. Some are in the church ministry. Some are in the youth ministry. But they trained as lawyers. They trained as doctors. But knowledge for knowledge's sake, getting to know things, it helps to apply in life as a, generally.
Now, when you talk about approval of these courses, you see it was a process before they were approved into the curriculum and everything. So that does it mean now the guys who actually approve these courses will now be questioned?
Of course, just like you've seen houses being demolished. This country has gone through a very bad phase whereby we have had corrupt cartels running so many things. Education has not been spared. The education ministry has really suffered the brunt of corruption. And all these things we are starting to see are manifests of how education has been commercialized, education has been taken over by cartels, and the things that are happening at this university. Somebody could just go to the education ministry or the regulators and tell them, I can offer this course. And you know what happens? After paying something and maybe, underhand deals, they are given the ability to go and they offer the course. The truth of the matter is they don't even have the lecturers. They don't have the capacity.
Yeah.
They don't have the means to even offer those courses. There is a course that we had a very senior university like Moi University having a course called engineering scrapped off from Moi University. Engineering scrapped off. And the students who are taking engineering in that school or in that college of engineering were told to look for other universities to go. Why? Because the university did not have the capacity to train engineering.
Wow, interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Now, it's now boiling down to something very different because now it goes down to quality.
Yes.
You see, when other educational institutions are being ISO certified, that means you've gone through some very, very tedious process of actually now being now, it's a very tedious process to get that certification. But you see, when Moi University is ISO certified, we know that.
Yes,
it's ISO certified.
Yes.
And ISO certified, maybe it's a clear indication that indeed you are doing well.
Yes.
In fact, you have quality education.
Very quality.
But you see, after some time, the engineering students
are
told
left
to go
on their own.
So what is happening, especially to the parents who are the people who are suffering, actually?
It is a very sad thing. It's a very sad state of affairs. But you know what happens is that sometimes the university may have the goodwill that we will offer a course like, say, medicine or dentistry. But as the days go by, you discover the lecturers have left. The facilities have been strained. Like, actually, let's talk even about medicine at the University of Nairobi. It reached a place whereby the class was too congested. They were not even having, the facilities were too strained. Many students have done badly. You know, sometimes, even the other day we heard about the Kenya School of Law, whereby 90% of the students who sat at the Kenya School of Law
didn't make it.
They failed. They flopped the exam, the bar exam. Now, sometimes the reason is not because of 844. You hear somebody say, oh, these are candidates of the 844, they were not well brought up in high school. Somebody even says they stole exams, that's how they ended up at the university. No, the truth of the matter is that some of those universities don't have the capacity. They have the School of Medicine, they have the School of Law, but in the School of Law, there are not enough facilities. The books are not there. The quality teaching that you talked about is not there. And I have attended a master's course in one of the universities and reached a place where we went a whole kind of 3 months without a lecturer. We were, teaching ourselves, at a university, at master's level.
With your thesis pending somewhere.
Well, we had to delay. Our thesis had to delay for almost 2 years because we didn't have the lecturers. We have very few professors in this country, by the way. Very qualified professors under each department are very few. There was a place whereby the professors themselves will not award somebody to become a professor. They'll put blockades and all that kind of thing.
Yes, true,
so we have a problem. We have a problem in our education system. We have a problem in the whole country. If University of Nairobi can have people failing in the School of Law, and not only that, the School of Medicine at the University of Nairobi is doing very badly because of congestion, because of stressed facilities. Now, if a good regulator came about, we can even scrap School of Medicine at the University of Nairobi. But now Moi University is said to have one of the best schools of medicine in the region. So you see, it's not because of it's not just the ISO certificate. I'm just trying to say that different departments at different universities are having problems. You can have a problem, an issue like a department like, say, linguistics at Kenyatta University, not having professors, not having lecturers. And so the students are in the class, but they don't have somebody to teach them.
Interesting. Now, when you talk about career talk, because now after high school, students go through a very, very like a detailed career talk, because now that's where you make choices. Some other parents just want to see the students in school. My child is at the university of this, blah, blah, blah. My child is studying this. But you see, at the end of the day, after 4 years, you remember this child will come back home to sit with you. Do we also have a gap in terms of just career talk and guidance? Because that's the most important thing. When you go and actually, for example, handle a degree in fisheries. I understand.
Fashion.
Or fashion design. And then when you leave, you go back to, for example, your rural home is in interior Busia. And you studied fashion design. You see, Busia won't actually help you actually grow up with the fashion designing. You see now that's the gap. What can you now tell us about career talk parental guidance,
Yes.
and also now after high school, those teachers who, of course, groomed you
Yes.
need to come out as a
Actually,
responsible human being.
you've talked a very important thing. The issue is guidance in towards careers.
Yeah.
We're having a big problem in the country. We, as I said somewhere before, we lack role models as a country. People in this country just go by the wind, you know. Everybody's going to university. Okay,
Yeah,
all of
I
us
want
let
to
us
go
go
to
to the
university.
university.
Yeah.
Everybody's rushing. The best university right now is
Yeah.
what? Everybody wants to go to that kind of
Absolutely.
university. The problem we have is guidance, proper guidance, whereby people are guided into their careers. And that's why the new curriculum that you heard about, the competence-based curriculum, was a very good idea. Just that it has not taken off, and it may not take off because of, again, the same things, cartels and bad management, bad kind of rollout. The rollout is so bad. But the issue is, at the end of the day, the curriculum-based, the competence-based curriculum was the best, because it was going to guide children right from ECDE, you know, from the early childhood, to get a child to know exactly where you are heading.
Okay.
In countries, advanced countries, a child even who plays soccer can go through just soccer academies right from, you know, from ECD, early levels.
Sure.
And by the time the child goes to a soccer academy, which is even, say, something like a university, the child is already qualified. Now, the other problem that we have again is somebody in this country, I don't know who it was, decided to do away with the middle-level colleges.
Yeah.
Now, that gap is what you are seeing now coming to the universities. The polytechnics, what used to have things like the Mombasa Polytechnic.
Yeah, it's true.
These things were very important. Those Kijabe Polytechnics,
Yeah.
the Nairobi, you know, these things were able to produce for us the handymen,
Yeah.
the plumbers, the whatever. Now, if you want to become a plumber, first you go and do a degree or in something else, and then come back somewhere and train to become a radio technician or to repair watches. These people are being trained by those TTIs and those middle-level colleges.
Absolutely.
And somewhere in our country, everybody decided that the best place to go is the university.
Yeah.
And now the university people now also cashed in. They knew we are gullible.
They commercialized
Our parents,
everything.
our parents just want us to go to the university. So they came up with courses.
Okay.
Woodwork, you know, what have you, forestry, I don't know, engineering. Now somebody comes out of college and you don't know what to do with forest engineering. What are you going to become to engineer trees, or what are you going to do? So all these things now are coming back to haunt us.
It's true.
As a country that we failed to plan.
Okay.
We failed to think ahead.
A course like fashion and design,
Yes.
sustaining such a course in a country called Kenya.
Yes.
Of course, the economic times understand how it is. Fashion and design. Yes, when you see, you look at the number of models, the number of designers, of course, as much as there's so many things happening.
Yes.
You're a taxpayer, you're still paying debts, you want to chase fashion and designing, you want to actually support people in the walkways, the models, everything. Now, sustainability of such a course in this country, because already we have so many problems. Yes, the students taking that course right now is speaking.
Yeah, of course.
And I believe some are watching.
Yes, they
Yeah, after the course, what next? Because now design,
Yes.
you get someone who can help you now, hook you up with a model. You know, it's kind of a very complicated journey.
Of course. And apart from that, it's the content. What is the content the lecturer is going to teach somebody for 4 years
On
at the
designing.
university on fashion design? Because you may discover some of those things can be taught in a term.
Yeah.
Now you discover you go to a university that is teaching you, say, fashion design or whatever, you know, forestry, whatever. But at the end of the day, they are teaching you other things that are not relevant to fashion design.
yeah.
They go take you to history of fashion.
Yeah.
They take you to what Aristotle and Plato said
Absolutely.
about
What they used to wear their
about,
necks.
where people used to, you know. So you are going through other things that are not even very relevant.
Yeah.
Now, just to come back to what you have really asked is what is it that now finally now at the end of the course, the 4-year course, what happens to this child or this student? That's why we talk about innovations.
Yeah.
This country now needs to reach a place whereby we are producing innovators.
Okay.
Not just products will come out and start looking for jobs. We want to produce, no longer is about the CV that we are producing about, but it's about building a profile in a person. You are able to come out of a university when you are holistic, when you are a person who has got the ability to come up with your own innovations in life.
Yeah.
Even if it's woodwork or it is fashion design, can you come out better and come up with something unique in fashion that somebody has not thought about, you know. But so you see in Kenya, we are copycats. Even look at our musicians. They want to copy what the US musicians are singing, what the Tanzanians are singing. So we don't have ours. But if we had our people, our universities could produce innovators. People can come up with things that are unique
Technical
and different.
Yeah.
Then that's what will make us stand
Absolutely.
out. So that's what we lack. Our children or our students come out of the university and they just want to be like everybody else. They're just average, nothing different. And that's why when we want to build the SGR, we have to go and get engineers from China. And those engineers may not be engineers who are from the University of China. They may just be middle-level guys. Some of them, we are told, people came maybe who are in prison and just come and work this side. So what I'm trying to say is this.
Maybe we just hold that thought. We take a short break now. When you come back, I think Wanakodhek will actually continue that thought, because now, as it is getting kind of emotional, because you might be in school handling fashion, forestry, maritime, and fisheries, everything. But you see, there's something called future. You need to secure it first. All that after a short break. All right, I'm also told there's a BA in marriage and counseling. Wow, wow, wow. Welcome back to Morning Live. And we're talking about the courses that needs to be scrapped from our universities. And trust me, it's really getting heated and emotional, because some parents have actually led their children to do some courses. And at the end of the course, things get tough. The kid comes back to you. Now help me here. Let's continue with this.
Yes.
Of course, you own something very, very solution-based.
Yes.
And it seems like not so many people are aware that indeed it can be detrimental even to their future, because when you handle something you're not even passionate about,
Yes.
you end up actually collapsing in so many ways.
Yeah, actually, as a country, we lose. Like, say, when you train so many people to take BA anthropology.
Yeah.
Anthropology is more of a, digging out excavations, fossils.
Yeah.
And, it first of all is a very expensive thing. In this country, one of the best anthropologists we ever had was Dr. Leakey, the family of Leakeys. And they discovered something in Turkana, an old, bone a long time ago. We don't need them right now as a country. We can't waste resources. Train somebody for 4 years to do something just to do with anthropology. And say even marriage counseling, as we were putting it. So we are talking about universities trying to fill up spaces so that they are seen like they have enough students, so that they also make their money. But at the end of the day, we are not producing innovators. We are not producing skills that can help this country.
Sure.
And university training or college is supposed to produce skills, relevant skills, to arm our youth with skills that are going to help this country. Now, in the developed world, we have some special courses. Some universities have, like if you go to Silicon Valley, we have just for specializing in apps development, some of these apps that we're using on our phones and in our everyday life. There are universities that are just specializing in producing people who can produce those kind of apps.
Sure.
But you see, those countries have invested heavily on that kind of thing. We don't have that in this country. And when a small course comes up, like say BBI, you heard of something like called something to do with business, and everybody seems to go for that course.
Yeah.
Most of them don't even have passion for it. But the university, because they want to make money, they just keep admitting the students.
True.
After the college, no jobs.
No jobs. Interesting. Maybe some of the courses, you're going through some of the courses here, and I must say some of them are kind of not, just verbally, they're not even serious.
Yes.
Maybe just like an example of what you're actually reading during the break. Yeah.
Yes. We have so many. We have something like Bachelor of Science in Clinical Nutrition, something to do with feeding, how to feed. Now this could be trained in a MTC.
Yeah, MTC.
You don't need to have a degree,
a
4-year degree with a professor to teach you that.
Yeah.
Public Health in, Bachelor of Arts in History, Bachelor of Maritime Management, Bachelor of this is what? Rural Sociology. What is this? BSc in Seed Science, BSc in Soil Science, BSc in crop production. You know, these are things that we were taught in Sigalagala Technical, Bukura, you know, Bukura's, those kind of things are where we were taught.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes,
Sure.
so when you take people in now, be in poultry, you know, now, you need to
You study chicken.
Chicken, now how to raise chicken, and that's a whole degree, you know. This one is what? This is BA in hospitality and management, BSc in range life and wildlife,
Wow.
BSc in peace science, BSc in leather and
Leather.
textile
Wow.
technology.
Interesting.
Now, these are things that were done in our middle-level colleges. This is a sign that our universities, because now they were taking so many people, they started to bring the courses that were being done in the Mombasa Polytechnic,
Sure.
in the Nairobi Polytechnic,
Yeah, yeah.
in some of those vocational places, and now they've been brought to universities. And that is wrong.
Wow, interesting. From the list, I can say that there's a gap. We have a problem. But now, solutions, because already, as much as they're being scrapped,
Yes.
now already we have students who are handling these courses. Some of them are on their third year, fourth year, some of them are finishing, yet to graduate. Happy that in December next year, I'm graduating, December 2019, I'm graduating.
Yes.
What will happen to such students?
No, actually, from the report which appeared in the local dailies yesterday, they were saying that those students have to be given other courses,
Okay.
even if however far they've gone.
Oh, you start afresh.
You start afresh. You're just
Wow.
redirected to another
You
course.
pay a fresh fee, or maybe now the school is
Well,
trying.
now it's left to the school and the students. Like what happened at the School of Engineering in Moi University.
yeah.
Those students were told now to look for either to join other universities.
That means you start afresh.
You start afresh. You go to another university and start. Or the college scraps it off and you wait until when they've put everything in order, then you come back and continue now as a student of engineering.
Wow.
So the issue that happens in such a situation is that the schools, the individual schools are taught to revamp.
Okay.
First of all, get enough facilities, get enough lecturers, and then given time to you know, kind of regroup and get re-energize, and then they start afresh.
Interesting. There's a question here from a parent, and she asks, please help me. My daughter, she's in Masinde Muliro University in Kakamega, is taking biochemistry. As a parent, I don't understand the course. Even herself, she doesn't know what she's going to be. Please help. She's second year. Mama Winnie from Mombasa.
Yeah, and those are some of the courses you're talking about. Bachelor of Science in Biochem. You know, biochem is not even is a subject that we taught.
Analytical
Yes.
chemistry.
Yes, these are subjects that we taught maybe in high schools, but somebody wants now you to do kind of more to learn more about
Okay.
chem.
Okay.
Now, it's not producing you with skills.
Okay.
It is repetitive kind of teaching.
Okay. But do you think maybe biochemistry is one of the key courses? Okay, when you talk about analytical chemistry, it's kind of different, but biochem, I believe so many people have been in that field. And actually
Not just that. It is supposed to be just a course within a course. Maybe you are taking even say something like dentistry.
Okay.
Then you learn something like biochem. Or you are talking something like pharmacy.
Okay.
You know, it's supposed to be a course
Okay.
within a whole, you know, the whole program.
But maybe to differ with you, where I'm seated. You know,
Yes.
you have Kemri. We have
Yes.
so many institutions,
Yes, ISIPE.
laboratories,
Yes.
ISIPE.
Yes.
We have so many of these institutions.
need this
Do
kind
you
of
think we need this kind of people in our institutions? Because biochemistry is very integral.
Yeah,
in actually making
it is a good thing to learn chem and to learn biology.
Yeah.
But what will you do with it? How many insect people do we need in ISIPE? How many Kenyans are specializing in these insects? They may be around 20. Now, if you produce a whole university, every 4 years you're producing 700 students
Yeah.
dealing with insects.
Yeah.
Now, ISIPE can only employ 10 people or 5 in a year or in 2 years. So
But so Mama Winnie here from Mombasa,
Yes.
are you trying to tell Mama Winnie that the daughter is wasting her time doing biochemistry?
Mawini, that your daughter is not doing bad. She's just getting knowledge for the sake of knowledge.
Okay.
But not knowledge to help her
Okay.
advance.
Okay.
You may discover when she finishes school, she may not even do anything to do with
Okay.
that.
Seems like your target is basically now securing that job at the end of the course. What of the knowledge itself? Because I believe when you mentioned Kemri, mentioned our laboratories,
Yes.
so many private laboratories out here, research institutes which need biochemists actually
Yes.
to work on these things. What do you think about the course? Is it about the pace of kind of securing the job or the know-how? What do you think is
The
important here?
skills.
The skills.
Yeah. Actually, the issue is, do we have, as a country, do we need these skills?
Okay.
Do we need some knowledge for knowledge's sake? was a good thing in those medieval times. But right now, we don't need knowledge for knowledge's sake, because it's very expensive to produce a graduate. To do a graduation for you, to teach somebody for 4 years, is very expensive. For the parents, and even for the school itself, and for the government. The
Sometimes,
government spends.
for example, you've performed well in chemistry,
Yes.
in case he's in biology, mathematics, and of course it used to be called Joint Admission Board.
Yes.
It's a placement board,
It's
actually.
now called COOPS, something like
Absolutely.
Kenya University's
Placement,
something.
absolutely. Now, do you think they're mistaken to take your daughter or your son to be a biochemist, and they have performed very well?
Actually, now you've hit it on the nail on the
Yes,
head.
absolutely.
The issue is the Joint Admissions Board, the people who take these children or these students to those universities. When you place them in the university to take something just biochem, plain,
Okay.
or BA
Okay.
anthropology plain,
Okay.
what are you aiming at? What are the skills that you want these kids to get, or these students to get?
When you hold it right there, when Mark Bichachi was standing by for another, of course, session here in Morning Live, he's here to actually, maybe Mark, you can just walk in. And, you know, we have to help Mawini here. You just walk in, Mr. Mark. Or maybe on come three of course, we're there. Maybe what can you say about now that issue of biochemistry? Yeah, just give us that situation, because already Bwana Kodek is kind of now trying to, kind of play cool here.
Bwana Kodek is of the school of thought that education is for employment. The reason why you're educated is that your mind should be set free to think. Now, to say that biochemistry is an irrelevant course is to lie to Kenyans. One of the pillars of building any society is building on research. Biochemistry is one of the most critical elements of medical research as we speak today. For us to term it an irrelevant course is to say you will not be sick tomorrow, is to say we don't need cures for cancer tomorrow, is to say that Kenya is already manufacturing enough drugs for us to feed our nation. The reality is that is not the case. When you say that maritime studies are not a serious study, when Kenya is in the middle of a maritime dispute with Somalia, what weed are you smoking, surely?
Now, Kodek, you've had Bichachi. Yes,
Of course, I like Bichachi as my friend. It is not just knowledge for knowledge's sake. Training a biochem person or a maritime person is very expensive. It's not something that's just to be done. And there has to be a good plan with what you want to do with this kind of person. The problem we have as a country is that we don't harness enough. We don't identify enough. These people are just taken there, they're just thrown there. And biochem, if you want to use it in medicine, then take medicine as a course. Because biochem is good, yes, but direct it to where you want it to be taken. Channel it to the right place. But just throwing it on somebody and then leaving somebody on the job market to look for what to do in life, then that is also wrong.
Interesting. Bwana Kodek, because of time, we'll continue with this conversation later on, because now, from Mombasa, Mawini, of course, you've been answered, and I believe from where I'm seated, I don't know, but I think your daughter is still on the right track, so please guide her, and don't be afraid. Of course, he's an educationist, he's an education expert. The quest is just to secure that employment as soon as possible. But we need to find solutions in this country. We're taking a short break. Bwana Kodek, thank you so much. Bwana Bichachi, thank you so much for coming through. Of course, for the sake of our parents, see you after the break, because Bichachi and Dennis Tumbi will be now in studio. Of course, they'll be venting kidogo, but still, we're talking about the maritime issues with Kenya and Somalia. All that after a short break. Live, and due to public demand, Mr. Kodek is still in studio. Bichachi and Dennis Ntumbi have joined the bandwagon of now deciding who is right, who is wrong, and trust me, during the break it was something different. So, what is happening? Ntumbi, you've had biochemistry, this chemists, anthropology, and all these things. What is happening with these courses, man?
You know, one of the things we have to understand is, first of all, decide what is education for. And according to Mr. Kodek, the fact is that then we need to channel all education to employment and the current resources that we have. My thinking is that this country is still very young, highly underdeveloped. So if you look at sports science at the end of the day, the greatest opportunity for the government even to create a lot of more jobs.
What's your opinion on this? What's your opinion on this?
Is at the end of the day to channel a lot of more educated people within
Yes,
that
Kabi,
sector and
yeah.
develop it.
Knowledge is not for knowledge's sake. Knowledge must be harnessed, must be directed. And a developing country like this one, with our little human resource and our few universities, we must be very clear what these universities will be training. We can't just touch on everything, fashion design, whatever. We have to be very, very clear. What as a country do we want? Where do we want to see ourselves in 2030, 2020, 2050? Now it is from there that we direct our education and focus it in a certain direction so that we go there. But if we are flip-flopping here and there, then we will miss the mark.
Let me bring my good friend Mr. Kodhek to the 21st century. A century where there's something called freedom of expression, where we are not going to do what we used to do in JAB, where JAB sent Mark Bichachi to do engineering because the country needs more engineers. I am a horrible engineer. I am a terrible engineer. You don't respond by turning talents into a skill. It cannot work. The purpose of education is to take that talent and give it expression. So you start with what the human being has. Now, that talent has been proven over and over again to produce more revenue for a country than forcing people to do skills that they don't need. Number two, you cannot say that a class 1 dropout should look for a job. A class 8 dropout look for a job. Form 4 dropout look for a job. Someone with upper class in economics look for a job. Masters look for a job. PhD look for a job. Who is making those jobs? The reason we are not creating those jobs is people like Agwins Kodek don't want people.
You even call them wings.
Yeah, that's my name.
No, you know the thing is the mentality of Serikali's idea.
Yes.
If you look at one of the goals of education, which is expressed properly, is that it's for personal development and self-fulfillment.
Okay.
You understand?
Are you in agreement with
So
this?
I am not studying at the end of the day.
Are you in
I'm
agreement
not
with
this?
doing food
Living-
science.
Yeah.
No, hold on.
The perfect
No,
society.
allow me. I'm not doing food science so that then the government can give me a job. I'm doing that so that then I can develop my own sector and my own industry. You understand?
Okay.
That the killing of creativity, thinking that you have to grow and become a doctor, a dentist, or whatever it is, that is the mentality that died, buried, and cremated a long time ago. You have, as Mark said, you have to find personal fulfillment and development in education. So it means by the time that the guy gets to class 8 and he feels, you know what, I want to study soil, and in studying soil,
Personal
I want to come up with
fulfillment.
something else.
Personal
you understand?
fulfillment.
You have to allow that within
Yeah.
the education sector.
Maybe Bwana
You
Kodhek.
cannot map and root and clamp and structure education. Even water does not agree.
But now the problem, what he's saying is right. You know, these people, my friends who are seated with me here this morning, are not educationists. And I'm not demeaning you in any way. I'm only saying this.
I'm a trained educationist.
We cannot be talking about training, for example, a maritime officer, an intellectual, a person who is very good in, say, food technology, as you're putting it, if we don't have the teacher to train to teach that person. We first must invest. Just a minute, I know you will take on it, Bichache. We first must invest in the labs to teach us on in
why are we not
food
investing?
production.
Why
We
not
must
investing?
invest in the teacher, and the lecturers will lecture that child in it, because you can go to the university and say, me, I want to become a lawyer, like the way you're seeing it at the University of Nairobi. And when they go for the bar exam, which we saw at the Kenya School of Law, 90% of the people
allow
flop.
me just to correct him
So
quickly,
why do these
quickly. Let me tell you
people
what,
flop at the university? Because we have not invested
He's
properly.
thinking what is going to happen is that you're trying to mainstream creativity and thinking. So in doing that, you saturate traditional careers and lawyers and doctors and all that. Why are you going to take all that? And by the way, the other day we saw that a lot of the guys who are being trained to be lawyers, they are failing their bar exams because of this kind of thinking.
No, they are
What we
failing
need to
because
do-
we've not invested
No.
in the-
What do you mean by how much
Listen,
do you need to
you
invest
cannot
in law
have
that we have
no,
practiced
wait.
law?
Can I just jump in? Let's be very clear, okay? I want to ask the question that the first person who taught medicine Did he have a PhD in medicine? The second question I want to ask, why is it that only in Kenya do we want to recognize a piece of paper and not recognize that there are people who've gone to the market field and brazed a trail and then created all manner of new forms of study? Today, if we wanted to study blockchain, which professor in this world would you get? But blockchain, how many billions does it have? Let's be also very clear. How many careers today exist in this world that before did not have professors? Let us not always be followers.
What's your opinion on this, Manago?
Quality education.
Let me finish.
Okay.
I'm not finished. I'm not finished. Please allow me to finish. You see, Kenya is an underdeveloped third world backwater country. Okay, we do not have oil by the millions of barrels. We do not have diamonds like the Congo. The only thing that we have is the intellectual property of our people. Kenya is carried on the back of the people who do side hustles, people who make your jikos. Which degree and PhD does that person have? What this country needs is for us to foster people to come up with their natural talents and then disrupt this world. Where's the PhD for Uber?
Very good.
Where's the PhD for
And
Facebook?
that is
where
where
was the PhD
now,
for Microsoft?
and that's now
Where
we
is it?
agree.
No.
Now
No,
we
no,
agree.
no, no, no.
Where
No,
was it?
my brother. Now we agree. It is not about the degrees. It's not about going to the university and getting the PhDs. Actually, that is the whole thing now, and that is what the universities are saying. Let us scrap off some of these courses because they can be done at Juakali University, Juakali colleges.
Oh,
No,
my
listen,
goodness.
we can do
There
some
we
of these
disagree.
things without going to university.
No,
You
we
can
disagree.
train and become a good Juakali
let me tell
artisan
you what,
without
no,
going to
no,
university.
listen,
and
allow
now
me to
finally,
go.
yes.
No, if you watch and study the life of Albert Einstein, the fact that he's disrupted the Newton's laws, just by the fact that he sat in a class and he hated dictation, and he said, no way, light cannot travel in a vacuum. We have to have an education system that allows for creativity, an education system that allows our children to maneuver the way they have their God-given gift, to allow them to grow, to allow them to be able to fulfill themselves at the end of the day. You cannot mainstream education. You cannot grow your child and say, now you, I want you to be a dentist, you, I want you to be a mganga, you, I want you to be this. That is the kind of thinking he's telling us to do.
No.
At the end of the day, by the
I'm
way,
talking
if you
about-
look at our cottage industry in Kenya, we can be able to build vehicles and aircrafts and
And-
whatever
and you
it
know,
is.
the thing is,
Why
let-
haven't we
let-
been able to achieve that?
Let me
At the end of the day.
let me help Mr. Kodek. If today, okay, we took the guy who's been making mabatis for school, that mabati sanduku, and we took him to a class, okay, and we taught him Juakali commerce. Okay, small enterprise commerce. It is very different from the kind of commerce we are teaching in our schools. Because he cannot afford an accounting system, he cannot afford to hire an accountant. He will stand to gain a lot from that study. So let's be very clear.
Quality
There's nothing wrong, my dear brother, from having you take a Bachelor of Arts and do what did you call it? Anthropology. And you do Bachelor of Arts and you do the history of the Swahili people. How come a Mzungu comes to Kenya to study the Swahili people?
And names our animals.
And names our animals. And yet here in Kenya you're saying, oh, that course is useless.
It's not
My
useless.
friend,
The word I'm trying to
there's
say is
PhD, there's
the word-
PhD in
the word
there's
is- you're
PhD
trying
in
to find another
photography.
word for useless.
There's PhD
That
in
sounds-
photography.
Yes.
You want to tell me, you with your
Quality
thinking, someone will,
education.
you will say clicking a picture, you don't need a degree. That's what you will say,
I'm
right?
saying this. Quality education is made up of three things.
What?
Quality tools,
Uh-huh.
quality environment, and quality teachers.
In a
You
country,
cannot talk about producing, as he says, PhD in photography and call it quality education if you don't have the quality tools to train that person to
I
become
don't agree in the
a
tools.
photographer.
This is why.
A
This is
quality
why.
environment
And this is
where
why.
it
And allow
means
me to
you
interject.
need to have the labs
Let me tell you
and
something.
everything.
I don't believe in quality education. I believe in quality thinking. I believe in creativity. We want people who will challenge the current laws of gravity. the way everything of the sort. They would look at it and say, no, this thing, I'm thinking about it, and calculate them. You know, you want to spark creativity. You want to nurture and develop that person fully. And by the way, we've had geniuses who have been lecturers, even when they are first year. You know, so you want an education system that is not mainstreamed, that does not allow you to think outside the dictation, which is what he's saying. Something that will develop and spark thinking.
Let me give you a very relevant example, okay? There are people in this country who we've seen who created gadgets. One who created an aeroplane. What was the fight that he had? Some government official who thinks that unless you've gone to a school, done 6 hoops of trainings, then you can only be allowed to manufacture an aeroplane. That is the foolishness we're talking about. Let me tell you, necessity is the mother of invention. Okay? If I have a passion for photography and all I have is my phone, I am telling you, even without those expensive equipment, I can take a quality photograph because that environment will force me to create. Let me tell you, the problem with Africa is we wait to be like the West so that we can be like the West. It does not work like that. What the Chinese did, let me ask a question. How did the Chinese industrialize? Okay. They took what they had, took their people to engineering schools before those engineering schools had equipment, and today in China, those engineering students go to a supermarket and buy chips, buy parts of a phone, sit down and can assemble a phone. Can that happen in Kenya? No, because we think for you to be able to fix a phone, you need a degree.
Doctor is actually handling biochemistry right now. Second year at Masinde Muliro University. Do you give her a green light to continue?
Yes, 1 billion%. You know why? This lady could give us the next cure for AIDS, cancer, whatever it is. There's a difference between medicine and biochemistry.
Of course.
There's a difference between what a doctor does.
Or a pharmacy.
You know, and a pharmacist does at the end of the day.
Yeah, sure.
We don't want lab technicians who just wear coats and sell drugs from the US. Yes. We want people, and then become just hawkers within whatever. We want the likes of Winnie. We want Winnie to study her biochemistry and engineer stuff that has never been seen. Revolutionary something that, you know, she should be allowed to spur her creative thinking.
What is
to think beyond borders at the end of the day.
You know, that is being taught in this biochem.
But that shouldn't.
No, just wait, my brother. You have to wait
mercy.
now. You have to listen now.
You know?
You have to listen. What is the content? It is not about just studying. That's why I'm calling it quality education. Education is not just education for the sake of it. What is the content? What is the syllabus? What are they teaching this child about? Why the universities are having problems is because you look at the syllabus, what they are teaching for 4 years, somebody in that what you are calling biochemistry, could be something that could have been taught in high school. Could be something that could have been taught in Form 1, Form 2.
My goodness.
So we are saying the content that is being taught in those universities, some of it is not the content that they are talking about that can help somebody to become a person who is going to even
why don't
produce
you just
a toothpick.
develop?
No,
That's why even if you want to do even a toothpick in this country, you have to import it. So you can be training somebody even to become engineers, but you are just doing theory work. Theory which cannot produce anything, and there's no quality in that kind of education.
Again,
and that's what we are saying no to it.
Let me introduce him to 2019. There's a thing called YouTube, okay? Where one of our star athletes went and studied how to throw a javelin by himself, and he became an Olympic champion, okay? When you go to university, when your degree is finished, what do we tell you? We have given you power
to go and
read. To read.
And do.
In other words, the purpose of going to school is to give you the tools that you need to expand your mind. I will remind Mr. Kodhek here that there is no career in the world today that is not changing at the speed of light. There is disruption because of technology in every career. Medicine is changing every other day. Nutrition changing every other day. If you base the quality of your staff based on the fact that they went to a university, you're missing the point. You see what we live in? We live in the information age. In other words, what should we do? If we have an opportunity to introduce someone to biochemistry and then they're able to go to YouTube and build a lab in the village without electricity and do something there, then we're doing something right in this country.
absolutely.
That's what we should do.
You see, let
The
me
commission is wrong to scrap this.
No, of course,
Yes,
it's wrong.
of course it's
If
wrong.
you can learn it through YouTube, we don't need the university. You can just do your YouTube thing. Yeah, God did not go to the university. University is about quality education. It's not about what we are talking about here. If you cannot produce, if you cannot have quality education in the university, then don't have a university.
Hold on. You know the issue is that
The quacks and the doctors we are hearing, people removing, I mean, opening somebody's brain for something that is not supposed to be a brain job.
The reason why,
simply means,
the reason why the commission is scrapping some of the courses is because they don't find them useful. It's not a matter of quality education. They are retaining those ones that they think they are quality. You understand?
The article is here.
There's a lot about quality. The scrapping is because they think whatever they are scrapping is completely hopeless and not useful to us. But let me tell you what. University that's basic. It's not the end of life. It is not the cream of the cream. When you graduate, that's when they give you power to do everything that appertains to your study. It means that university is a merely 5%. The rest of me is the 95% that now I go to develop the world, to live beyond every means, you understand? To create something new, to revolutionize within the power in me, not the lecturer. You cannot map me to Musindo Morel. You cannot map me to Embu County Primary School where I went. I am not that school. You understand? I have lived beyond that school. You understand? The education system in Kenya, look, we have revolutionaries in this country. We have people who have thought beyond the curriculum. And that person, when you train them, they'll come back 10 years and challenge that curriculum and build it. Why is Kenya one of the largest net exporters of human resources? Why? Why are you telling us that we have wrong education, but the world loves us anyway? At the end of the day, when you go to the West, the nurses, the doctors, and whatever it is are from this country. We can't take creativity and mainstream education.
The youth of this country hope. Number one, Facebook, Google, Amazon all said that you do no longer need a degree to apply. In other words, they're looking more at skill-based recruitment rather than paperwork recruitment. Okay? I myself am a testimony. JAB decided that if you get an A in physics and an A in chemistry, you need to go do engineering. I sucked at engineering. I've never even tried to apply for a job because I will be doing my nation a disservice. But look what I do today. I write, I think that's what God created me to do, and no paperwork can take that away from me. So let's be clear. The future is not for degrees. The future is for talent. Look at all the billionaires in the world today. What are they doing? They're disrupting. And you do not need, by the way, to study something that is there. There's something called blockchain. Which degree can you do in this world today that has blockchain? Yet how many people are billionaires and millionaires because of it? Let's be very clear.
Bill Gates.
Let's be very clear.
Bill Gates did not go through and finish the university.
Let me finish. This is what we need to do. We need to diversify our learning institutions, not with the purpose of creating someone who is a slave to be employed, but for the purpose of setting free a mind of a person to be able to deliver. In fact, what I would say, you need to be able to look at how much work someone has done and say, you know what, this person deserves a degree. That's where we need to go, because there are people who are literally doing groundbreaking work without a degree. There are people who've built businesses from scratch.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Those
And
give
them
you
honorary
need to,
degrees.
you need to study them.
Let me finish. We'll give them honorary degrees. Yeah, we'll give them. Atuoli, we gave him one for being in labor movement. So honorary degrees are also there for people like you are talking about. But if you want,
Your parting shot now.
my parting shot is
Yes,
this:
yeah.
quality education must have quality tools, quality teachers, quality environment. Our universities must remain universities. They must be places whereby we are producing people who have very focused areas that they are studying. It's not about jobs. It's about the areas that they are studying, and they must be focused on it, and they must be produced well, so that when they come out of that university, we can say, good, this is a university material. This is a person who was taught properly. Innovators, incubators, and people who can come up with the apps and other things that my brothers are talking about, yes, we need them. But those ones we can have incubation places, incubation cells. We can have places like what we used to call the Nairobi Polytechnics, the Kenya Polytechnics. Those ones can help us to come up with this kind of people. We even have things like military academies. We have police academies. We can have good military men trained in those places. But our universities must remain universities. And we are saying scrap off anything that you don't have enough teachers in, you don't have enough tools to teach those people in, scrap it off. And if it's not focused to produce a student who will come out and be specialized in the field that is in.
Thank you very
scrap
much.
it off.
Thank you very much,
Without
Bwana Kuthek, for coming.
no,
We are now
no,
taking
no,
a short
no,
break. We're now taking a short break.
Scrap off primary schools.
No, you cannot have that as a part of
scrap off
That is a
primary schools
dangerous
because it's
part.
read under stones.
yeah.
You know, quality
Scrap
environment.
off everything.
Scrap off everything.
Everything.
Because we don't
You
have
know,
quality
yeah.
high school
And
education.
let me tell you what,
is it talking about?
the term university material is a hopeless terminology.
You
Because
see,
universities are not the epitome of thinking and creativity in this country. That is a hopeless statement. Let me
This
tell you
is
what,
a topic
talent
that
and
won't be ending
creativity
anytime
is
soon.
the end of the day.
Thank you very much, Bwana Nthumbi.
There's nothing
for
like a
coming.
university material. What is
Bichaji.
that? You're Biashara Street.
Sorry.